Hi everyone, this is Sharifa Tharp, and we are now doing Ask an Immigration Attorney live. So I want you to ask your immigration questions in the comment box and I will answer it. Now just keep in mind that the answers to my questions is not personal legal advice. So it's pretty much giving you the general information that you need to determine what steps you need to take next. So it's very helpful, but it's not meant to be legal advice. So keep that in mind. So what I wanted to do also is some individuals sent me messages through Messenger, which I do allow. Those of you who are too shy to ask your questions in the comment box, I welcome you to send me your questions through Messenger, and I will answer those questions when I am doing my Ask an Immigration Attorney live show, which is every other Sunday in a month. So 2 Sundays a month. So the first question I got was, as a TPS holder, can you transfer over, adjust status over to permanent residence? And that was a very general question. It wasn't very specific. However, I'm going to elaborate on that. So my short answer to that would be it depends. So it depends on your particular circumstances. However, yes, in certain situations, going from a TPS holder to a green card holder is very much possible. So I'm going to give you some of the ways that it's possible to go from a TPS holder to a green card holder. So the first is if you have an immediate relative that's in the United States, or you have a relative that's able to file the papers for you, then yes, you can go from TPS and that relative can sponsor you, and then you can apply to go from the TPS status to permanent residence. So for example, if you marry a US citizen, you would be considered the immediate relative of the US citizen. That would offer you a faster track towards permanent residence. So within 12 months to 18 months, you could become a permanent resident. Now, I do have to mention one thing. Now, in order to be able to qualify to move from TPS holder to permanent resident or green card holder in the United States, you must have entered the United States legally. So, for example, you must have entered with a visa or with permission to be able to do what's called the adjustment of status process in the United States. So keep that in mind. Otherwise, it's going to become a little more complex, and it would take a lot more evaluation. Now, I just want to mention again that go ahead and ask your questions in the comment box. I am looking out for your comments. I am also speaking on on other questions that have come in through Messenger, but as soon as you're ready, go ahead and put your question in the comment box. So another way that one can go from TPS holder to a green card holder is through labor certification. So basically through an employment-based green card application. So of course, you still have to have meet certain eligibility criteria before you can, first of all, apply for that employment-based green card application, and before you can do an adjustment of status in the United States for that employment-based green card. But it is definitely a possibility. And if I'm going to be really comprehensive, if for some reason you were put in removal proceedings, Then other options to explore would be, so cancellation of removal is one option to obtain a green card. However, there are very specific criteria that you must meet and to get the green card in immigration court. And of course, if you're in immigration court, that means that you are defending against deportation, which nobody wants. But, that's a worst case scenario with a best case solution right there. So go ahead and type your comments in the comment box. I am here to answer your questions. Right now, I am, even though I'm talking, still feel free to go ahead and type your comment in the comment box. I will go ahead and address your questions as soon as they come in to me. So the other question I got was, it was a very general question again. So is it safe for me to go to Jamaica without my my green card? So once again, I am going to elaborate on that. So if you are in the United States without any status and you would like to stay in the United States, or your hope is to eventually become a permanent resident, and you are here without a status, then it is not safe to leave the country, because when you leave the country without a status, then it's more than likely that you are going to be barred from coming back to the United States. Now, in this case, when I asked for further elaboration, I found out that there's a very big delay in printing permanent resident cards. And so this individual wanted to know if it was safe to travel outside of the United States without their actual permanent residence. So they got approved, but they're in the middle. They're now waiting for the card to come. And so is it safe for them to travel without the card in hand? And out of an abundance of caution, I would say no. If you do not have any kind of evidence that you're a permanent resident or that your permanent residence was approved, then definitely do not leave the country without it. So there are temporary proofs of, there is a temporary proof of being permanent residents that the Immigration Service will sometimes give upon request or during applying for the renewal of a green card, and it's called the I-551 stamp. And that usually serves as a temporary extension and evidence of permanent residence. So if you have that, then of course that would be more comforting to me. And I would say, yes, you could travel with that in hand. However, and it also depends. Now it also depends, because if you are, say you're renewing it, but there's certain shady circumstances or something that's making your future as a green card holder uncertain, and you have that I-551 stamp, then in that case, I'd advise not. However, if say you just got approved for permanent residence and you're just waiting for the card to come, and everything went well, you have no further requests for evidence or any kind of request from the USCIS or the Immigration Service, then that could be a means to travel outside of the United States. But definitely seek advice before you do any kind of traveling, especially when you don't have your permanent residence. So go ahead and type your questions in the comment box. I will gladly answer your questions as they come in. I am also covering some questions that have come in to me. So another thing I want to talk about is, so I got the question of the woman is the woman is here in the United States. She's married to a U.S. citizen, but they have not filed the papers. And as a matter of fact, this individual told me that her spouse was holding her passport. And first of all, what should she do in that situation? So definitely this is evidence that this individual is not only unwilling to file the papers for her, but he or she, well, in this case it's a he is exhibiting controlling and manipulative behavior. So he is using that passport, holding the passport as a way to keep her restricted and keep her from moving on or doing something she wants to do willfully. That definitely supports, is one of the supporting factors of what's called a VAWA. So she's here, she's undocumented, he's holding on to her passport, her husband, and she has no way to, once he's holding on to that passport, then it limits her, her resolution in this case. So if that's the case, definitely seek legal advice and get started on what's called a VAWA application. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're being controlled, abused, mistreated by your US citizen or permanent resident spouse, then you can obtain your green card without the spouse. So you can apply for the green card by yourself. You don't have to depend on the spouse. You do, of course, have to show evidence of the mistreatment or the abuse. But that is something that I always tell my clients, leave that hard stuff to me. I will do everything to prove that you are in a terrible situation with an individual that you're trying to leave. But you have to take that first step of seeking help. And that's why I'm here. So if you are going through that situation and you would like to move on with your life, you would like to get your permanent resident, go ahead and get legal advice. You can call me at 561-405-4889 to schedule your consultation with me, and I can go through all the eligibility criteria and get started on your application as soon as we figure whether or not you can do this. I want to mention now that you have to be open-minded to be able to seek legal advice. Now, when I do bring up this VAWA application, it's a means to go from undocumented to getting a green card in the United States. A lot of individuals think that a domestic violence-based green card they have to show evidence of physical abuse. They have to show a police report. They have to show, evidence of a divorce, or they have to show evidence of separation, or they have to show a protective order. None of these are required. Now, if you do have these things in existence, of course that definitely falls as a qualification. It does qualify as evidence for the VAWA application. However, please be open-minded about this. It could also be verbal abuse. It could be controlling behavior, like I mentioned before, with control of the passport to control this woman's behavior. It could be coercion. It could be, through fraudulent activity. So it could be, before the person came to the United States, they promised them certain things or manipulated them into thinking, life would be great here, and they turned out they gave them something completely different. It could be constant infidelity. It could be abuse of your child. It could be a broad range of behaviors that fall under severe mistreatment that can qualify you for permanent residence. And you don't have to be just a woman, you could be a man as well. So so that's what my rule of thumb is. If you are facing being mistreated in your marriage to a US citizen or permanent resident, then definitely go ahead and seek legal advice about getting your permanent residence, your green card, through the VAWA self-petition application. So now what I do want to mention is unfortunately, it does not cover individuals who are not married to US citizens or permanent residents. So if you are here in the United States, you're undocumented, you are married to someone who is not a US citizen or not a permanent resident, then you could qualify for other types of benefits. So there is the U visa. So if you have been the victim of domestic violence and you've been beaten and the law enforcement have gotten involved, then this is a U visa situation. So with the U visa, as long as you do cooperate with law enforcement, you provide them the help they need to investigate the crime. So if it was domestic violence, it was assault, it was any kind of crime that you are the victim of, then you, and this, of course, this abusive spouse or in fact anybody else, but in the context of a marriage, if you are married to someone who is not a US citizen or a permanent resident, and this person perpetrated a crime against you, so they assaulted you in some way, or they perpetrated domestic violence against you, then even though you wouldn't qualify for VAWA, you would qualify or could qualify for the U visa. The U visa would allow you to work and stay in the United States. Eventually, the U visa does have a wait list just because it only allows for 10,000 visas per year. However, there is a wait list, and once you're placed on the wait list, you are given, you will be given the ability to apply for a work permit. And the work permit would, you would be able to go about your life, you'd be able to obtain employment, all while the U visa is being processed. So even though it may take a couple of years for the U visa to be approved, and if that's your only option, then you could still work and move along with your life. The other possibility is the T visa. So this is for sex or trafficking victims. So if you were coerced to come to the United States by, even if you are married to them and they're not a US citizen or they're not a permanent resident, but they convinced you to come here, and then they used you, to work for them for free, or to, go ahead and do certain acts like sexual acts, then the T visa would qualify in this case. So if you don't qualify for VAWA, there's also the T and the U visa that you should think about. The difference between the T and the U, so the T visa is only for sex and labor trafficking. So if you were, say, you know, this is a scenario where a man convinced you to come here, or your husband convinced you to come here, and when you got here, you thought you were going to live this fabulous life with your husband, but instead he put you to work on the streets, or he put you to you know, do work in his entity or his company or whatever he's doing, or he forced you to commit crimes yourself, you know, for example, through prostitution, then the T visa would qualify. Now, in this case, it's not even essential that you cooperate with law enforcement. There are ways around that requirement. So that's the upside. With the U visa, the law enforcement certification is required. With the T visa, it is not required. So it's, you know, you should weigh these options and be open-minded. Once again, sex and labor trafficking does not mean that you have to be physically restrained. It could mean that somebody convinced you to come here under false pretenses, so they could have committed fraud against you. They could have, when you got here, they could have withheld money, your identifying documents, and told you you had to do ABC in order to get back, you know, to get your pay or to get your identifying documents back. So another thing is, even if you came here, so for all three of these, so VAWA, the T and the U visa, even if you came here without your legal papers, so you crossed the border or you snuck across the border to come to the United States, you do qualify for these. Now, in some cases, you can ask for forgiveness, or you can, if somehow you crossing the border and staying here without any legal papers is connected to the act against you, you could get forgiveness that way as well. So don't count yourself out. My rule of thumb is, if you are facing these situations, so if you are being mistreated in your marriage, if you are mistreated or abused, if you are the victim of a crime, or if you have been in a situation where you're forced to work and you're forced to commit sexual acts by an individual through, coercion or different violent as well as non-violent means, then simply go seek legal advice. That's the good start for you. That's what I always say, and then I do the hard stuff for my clients. So if you have a question, just go ahead and put your question in the comment box, and I will gladly answer your question. I am just now addressing questions that I have gotten through the messenger. So I've touched on, with this, I've touched on mainly going from undocumented to the green card. If you have been mistreated in your marriage to a permanent resident or a U.S. Citizen, if you have been the victim of a crime, and if you have been the victim of a trafficking or sex or labor trafficking. Sorry, I just spaced out. So go ahead and just put your questions in the comment box. Okay, I thought I saw a question coming in, but I did not. So if that, I don't see any questions, but if anyone has any questions, this is your last chance to ask questions before I head out for the day. All right. I don't see any questions coming in today, but as usual, I will be here every other Sunday in a month, so 2 Sundays every month. Look out for my announcement of the dates for September. And, you know, I'm here to answer your questions. So take advantage of that, guys. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And once again, if you are too shy to put your comments in the comment box, still go ahead and put your, you know, send your questions through Messenger to me, and I will answer your nagging immigration questions. All right. Have a good one, guys. Have a good Sunday. Bye-bye.